So we're going to look back on our reading, what we did. Remember last week when we finished up our P.S. Brothers? We're going to look back because what I want us to focus on, if you want to go to page 125, we're going to talk about your thinking, and I'm going to have you read pages 125 and 126, and I want you to ask yourself, what message does this story teach me about life? We talked a lot about the author's message last week, but refresh our memory, read 125 to 126 by yourself, and then be thinking about what is the message the author trying to tell us about life in general, right? Take it out of the book and think about our global message that we have. What questions do you have? Okay, go for it. Let's read 125. About our thinking, we read the whole book, cover to cover. And now, let's think a little deeply, and let's think about what is the author trying to teach us about life in general from the book. Who wants to start?
Like from the whole book?
Sure, yeah. From the whole book, from what we've read. Because you've read it cover to cover, Lorenzo, so tell me what you think the author's trying to get at.
Maybe
Do you remember last week when we talked about the message, what we thought the author's message was?
yeah.
And what was that?
The
Can anybody help him? What was our message from last week? Yeah? Did you put a note in there? Sure. So think about what we learned about from the book. Yep. And we wrote down the message. We talked about it last week. We talked about how we talked a lot about the character, Russell and Sean. And what did they sort of learn? We talked about that as the message. Like, what was it that we were supposed to take away from the book?
They do want the dog. They don't want the dog anymore. Just Jeffrey.
Tell me more about that.
They wanted the dog. So I could play with him.
So they didn't want it to protect them, which is what they wanted at the beginning of the story, right? They wanted a mean, ferocious dog.
Because Terry isn't going to bully them anymore because they put Nick in jail.
Ah, okay. Who else can add to that? Zaid, go for it.
Lorenzo was talking about the beginning, but at the end, they didn't want the dog anymore because Nick was he was having dog fights and they were taking off and they had broken teeth, so he didn't want them anymore. And yeah.
He put with kennels. And then the kennels had blood.
The kennels had blood in it. Okay. Zach, Kevin, D'Angelique, what would you like to add to that? Anything else?
He decided to get a puppy instead because, not like a big dog because his problem sort of, I guess, was solved, and he kind of didn't want a big dog from Nick because they weren't like the dogs he actually wanted. They were too bloody and violent.
Puppies, so Corey let them get one of the puppies, so they got one of the dogs, and they got the rest and gave it to friends at school, and when they got the $200 back, they spent it all on the supplies for the dog.
Interesting. So tell me about Corey. Talk to me a little bit about Corey. How has Uncle Corey changed? What do you think, D'Angelique? How's he changed?
Well, and
Do you want some help? Want some help? Kevin, go for it.
In the beginning of the story, he didn't like really take care of him that much, and like he didn't have enough money like for like a lot of food, and so Russell he slept in the backyard of his Uncle Corey's house in a camper, and it was like old and rusty, and it was like really hard to twist to open it. But then like at the end or like near the end of the story, Uncle Corey apologized to Russell of how bad he'd taken care of him, so he tried to be better, and Russell started living in the house with him.
So you're noticing how the author, how Maribeth Boltz is helping us understand that character. At the beginning, that character has changed a lot. Hasn't Uncle Corey changed from the beginning to the end of the book? Say, what did you want to add about Uncle Corey?
Uncle Corey, he wrote like on page 125 and 126.
Yep, on the pages we just read. Okay.
On page 126.
Okay, let's go there. 126. Okay.
It says Uncle Corey. It says Uncle Corey staying awake all night next to me. See if he needs a drink or aspirin or something. So and he aspirin because and he told him he wasn't taking care of him that much, so he wanted to apologize.
And right where you said that, Zaid, find that sentence, everyone, right below where it says, waiting to see if I needed a drink or an aspirin or anything, on page 126.
It says it made me think of my mom.
Wow. Why would the author have those words in there?
Because you love seeing mom.
So someone help me understand why Uncle Corey sort of acting like his mom right now? What kind of family? Remember we talked about family being a big part of that Russell has a family, right? He has somebody to take care of him, right? And D'Angeli, do you remember when you talked about our character? What did you say was true about Russell? When he said about he didn't want to get close to anyone because, what did he say?
He didn't get close to anyone because every time he gets close to somebody, something bad happens.
And did it happen this time? First time in his life,
Maybe.
right? It's happened. It hasn't happened.
Maybe in the next book.
Maybe in the next book. It might be in the sequel. You're right. So think about when we talk about fictional texts, especially our P.S. Brothers, our realistic fiction, how the author's message we can take that out and think about how that applies to our real life. What's most important? His family, right? His family's most important. It wasn't the silly dog, right? He sort of solved his problem, like Kevin said. He got the puppy, someone to love, right? To snuggle with. He'd love to have all those puppies that they had at the end. So,
I don't think weren't they going to get away? See if other practice for
yeah, remember Zach said that they took the rest of the puppies and gave them to kids at school.
in the story, they didn't really talk much about Sean though.
They didn't. And remember, why do you suppose they didn't talk about Sean a lot?
Because Brooke was in the
It was from, say that again, Zach. Yeah, it was from Russell's point of view. So it was really about his life, right? About what his inner thoughts were, which is why we probably didn't hear as much about Sean, right? It's really about Russell's struggle. Did you guys like this book? Yeah. The P.S. Brothers, as funny as that is. So go ahead and put that away for just a minute. And then let's think about, I want you to look at, I'm going to just move around. I want you to look at these words for me. Couple words here. And I want you to tell me what you notice about my words like cyclist. A cyclist will ride his bike in a race. Cyclist. Cuddly. That's appropriate when we talk about the puppies from the P.S. Brothers, right? Cuddly puppy. Collect. Cider. Like apple cider. I could drink apple cider in the fall. Cereal. Frosted Mini Wheats is my favorite cereal.
They're all C's.
They're all C's. Central. Centerville is a central location in Fairfax County. And cabin. I might go camping and stay in a cabin.
Oh,
Yeah.
like at this part of the word, they're like I forgot what the word's called. Just really remember what can I say?
Yeah, go for it. So you notice, Kevin noticed first, they all start with C's. Does anybody notice anything else? Cyclist, cuddly, collect, cider, cereal, central, cabin. They,
Some have like.
I think they're
No,
vowels.
one has like LY.
Constants.
And
I'm pretty
L.
sure.
I don't know.
and you're noticing, Kevin, that what is a vowel? Where are the vowels?
Like A, like the second letter of the word.
C-A, C-E, C-E, C-I, C-O, C-U, C-Y. We know those are all consonants, right? Listen to when I say these words. Ready? Lorenzo, you ready? Cyclist. Collect. What do you notice? They both start with C's, but what do you notice? Cyclist. Collect.
They
both
This is the bit, yep, cycle would be my base word, you're right, we talked a lot about base words. If you notice, yep, IST can add a suffix, right? Especially when we think about this could help us understand that this is a person who cycles. I want you to notice this. Cycle, cyclist, cereal, cider. What do you hear at the beginning? Cyclist, cereal, cider. What does that sound like? What sound?
S.
S. We hear an S. Try this one. Cabin.
K.
Collect. Cuddly. What do you hear?
K.
K. So how about this one?
If there's a Y ear I then and there's like a C next to it, that means it has to make an S sound. But if there isn't, then it's a K sound.
Ooh. You are noticing, and this is exactly what we want you to pick up on. This second, the vowel, right? What vowels make the S, help the C make the S sound here? E, Y, and I. And what vowels make the K sound, the K? U, A, and O.
Anything that's not an E, Y, or I.
Makes the what sound? S. And then the K sound. So for that, if this makes the K sound, do me a favor, Lorenzo and Zach, you guys are gonna be buddies, and Kevin and Zaid and D'Angelo.
I actually don't think C has a sound. It just like takes the S or the K.
I want you to sort your words that start with C into the K or the S sound. Can you do that together? Go ahead and work together as a group.
That's S.
Think about what they start with.
The S's, I think just put them right there. And then
Here's the S, and here's the K sound.
Let's do this. S and S and K.
Isn't this one right here?
Celebrate.
What do you think, Zaid? Say that word out loud. So what sound do you hear? You got it. And this word's captain, like captain of a boat. Yep. Like Captain America, you got it. So this is all, what did the C sound does this make? The K sound, okay? And these all make the S. What do you think about that word? What is that word that you have, Kevin? Community. K or S? How about this one, guys? What's that one, Zaid? Cement. Real cyclist. We have, let's say these together. You ready? Cycle, circle, celebrate.